Okay, so I'm going to start with a question to the audience. So how many of you have asked your partner how much they love you on a scale of 1 to 10? Anybody? I'm glad to see that. I have to say I asked that once to my husband during our marriage, and he wasn't impressed. And it doesn't work in consumer insight, in case you were wondering. So on the other hand, this is a room full of qualitative researchers. So I don't need to tell you that conversation reveals the true depth of human behavior. Exactly like in my example, if we want to really know how people feel about your brand, how they feel when they experience a pain or a need for your category, the best way would be to have a conversation, wouldn't it? In the past, it was very much a duality. If you wanted to have a conversation and have that depth and nuance, you needed to do it with a bunch of people. If you wanted to have the robustness and scale of numbers, then you needed to do quant, which is very useful, by the way. I'm an ex-quant researcher as well. So I think the midway is the best. And now with the advent of generative AI, we have this amazing capability to analyze large amount of unstructured data to really get the best of both worlds. And not only, generative AI can really help you to do that research at scale and with geographical reach. So gone are the days, and I experienced many of those myself, in which they will tell me, listen, we are going to launch in XX market, but we need to test in these 3 so-called lead markets, or we are going to test in Germany and launch in Italy. What can possibly be wrong? And really now with generative AI and this amazing reach for scale and the language translation capability, we can reach multiple markets, communities, and cohorts really at the click of a button. So I'm going to just quickly explain how we do it, and then I'll leave it to Alex. But BoltChatAI is an AI-moderated tool for qual at scale. It's a platform that is completely Gen AI enabled, but we have a fantastic team of qualitative researchers. I think we touched on this. The tech is nothing without the people behind it and that human in the loop. And it's works in a very simple way. So first of all, you log into the platform with the help of our team, if you want. And you brief the AI on 2 aspects. What's the objective of your research, and with the target audience you would like to reach? Then the AI, based on this information, creates a discussion guide. So open-ended question, mostly, but you can add some closed-end question if you'd like. You can add in-depth probing and prompting. You can upload a stimulus, so videos, pictures. And you can also decide the conversation to happen in text or voice, or receive videos and pictures from respondents. And it can also get translated. All of this is transparent and visible to you, and you can adjust it and fine-tune it any which way you like. After which, when you launch, our team will check that everything is all right, and will suggest some improvement if needed, and then we'll start recruiting. Within 10 minutes of your launch, people will start chatting, and we recruit them all around the globe, and they get invited to a one-to-one 30 minutes conversation on their mobile. In a very easy way. They don't need to volunteer any personal information. They just go in and chat very naturally. And the advantage of the AI is that you can do that at scale in their native language, but also we have quite a sophisticated way of moderating this conversation. I'll tell you more about it. This conversation happened among hundreds of respondents, and then when they finish, the AI also analyzes the transcripts, and just in the matter of minutes will create your report, which a lot of nice insights, of course, and in an interactive way. So the journey is not finished when you receive the report. There is more to dig into, and you can really easily ask a question, and the AI will go into the transcript and come back with answers, personas, and so on. I have a video to show you the respondent experience as well, because that matters, right? We rarely talk about them on the other side of the screen. So you could please play the video.
Since taking these vitamins, I definitely say my body feels more healthy. I used to feel quite fatigued in the morning, and like I said earlier, I used to get headaches quite often. So my last purchase, I actually went in store to Boots. I'm very lucky that I actually live quite close to my local store. So it's sort of now in my routine. Whenever I notice that I've only got 2 or 3 tablets left, I will actively make the choice to go down to my local shop, and I will purchase a new bottle of the daily vitamins that I use.
We can move to the next slide. Thank you. Okay. Right. So very quickly, before I pass it to Alex, so what makes our moderator different? It's trained. So we are starting to learn more about what's happening behind the black box. We have created BoltChatAI as a platform for manual connection first, a couple of years ago. And then we use those manual conversations to train the AI to act like a researcher, understanding the way to create a guide, to ask projective and storytelling questions, and to really dig deeper into what consumers mean. The moderation happens with dual agents. There is the moderator that runs the ship, and then there is an AI referee on the back that probes on what needs to be dug further. We have creative probing, and of course we have human in the loop. And in terms of use cases, it's very versatile. It can be used for early stage creative testing, marketing mix testing, exploring new market and new demand space, the new growth space, enriching your quant data, and ultimately understand your consumer. So over to you, Alex.
Thank you, Esther. It's a pleasure to share the stage with you today. And good afternoon to everyone. So I'm Alex, and I lead the Danone Global Strategic Insights and Analytics Consumer Capabilities and Foresight team. So it is a mouthful. Believe it or not, I need a script to actually say that. No, but kidding aside, I know there's a lot in there. But essentially, what my team and I are responsible for is discovering, deploying, and scaling tools and skills that drive people development and business impact. So still a mouthful, but hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of what keeps me busy. And one of the things I really love about my job is that I get to be curious and I get to experiment on a daily basis. And I vividly remember the first time I met Esther and Hakan, who's their CEO. So I think it was 2 weeks into the job, and they told me about this business solution that they came up with that is really meant to address some of the pain points they themselves experienced as business owners, as insight owners in their previous organization. So here we are, a few months on, and we've done some 20 projects with them, and I'll talk to you about one of them today, just to share a few highlights. So for today, I thought, I'd pick a topic that hopefully is close enough to many of you here in the room. Whether you're parents or not, parenting is quite an interesting topic, hopefully. And what makes it really interesting is that it really is a topic that is very personal. It's deeply personal. But at the same time, it also triggers this tug-of-war of emotions, if you may. So on the one hand, parents want to be very truthful. They want to speak their truth. They want to be authentic. But at the same time, they, of course, fear being judged. If you go to TikTok or Instagram, at any point in the day, and you see a video of a mom or dad with a child, if you go to the comments, probably half of them will be positive, half of them will be negative, despite how cute the babies are in the video, frankly. So that really, between that factor and the fact that the target that we're trying to research here are young parents, and this is a new generation that grew up, online. So we thought, this was a topic that was really good to explore using this AI plus human approach. So we did this study for our infant formula brand, Aptamil. So let's take a look at how AI had helped us. So AI essentially is, in this particular instance, it was a qualitative research. And one of the questions we asked our respondent was, what aspects of parenting bring you the most joy, and how do you balance that with your responsibilities? So that was the question. And the first level response we got from one of the consumers was that having a child is like filling a space in my life that I didn't know was empty. So that was the response. And if we went into quantitative research, that was all we would have gotten. But with the benefit of AI, what we were able to do was to probe. Because I would like to believe that if I asked 3 people in the room what that quote meant, it probably would mean different things to different people, and you guys would have slightly different interpretations and assumptions. So again, that is one of the benefits of the tool that we used. You have an opportunity to go deeper across a large group of people. Okay, next one. So one of the things I personally love about using AI-led moderation is that you can really capture, a diverse set of consumers all in one go. So, and it's done at a speed and efficiency like never before. So one of the challenges that we used to have in Danone, and I'm sure a lot of our multinational friends could also empathize, is that it's always very challenging to find, an agency partner who has presence and who has good capabilities across many different markets. That's one thing. The other thing is it's also very hard to find, very good moderators to run, qualitative research across many markets. But in this case, that problem doesn't even exist at all. So what we had were moderators, AI, but human trained, who could run the research in Dutch, in Italian, in Polish, in English. Such was the case in this particular study. So another thing we love about this is that BoltChatAI kind of built, a whole bag of tools and tricks to keep consumers and respondents very engaged. We all know that it's very hard to grab people's attention and hold people's attention, especially in this day and age, whether they're answering surveys in a research or attending a conference, right? So it's very hard to hold people's attention. And I can assure you AI does a much better job than I could. So what you see here, for instance, is data that we gathered. We asked people what their biggest challenge was in parenting, and the top answer came back as emotional well-being. And again, this is focused on Gen Z. And on the right-hand side, what you have there are some quotes or explanations as to what they mean by that and how they address the challenges that they face. So one respondent talked quite a lot about how they try to call other people to get encouragement or to research online to find solutions. There's also a mention of using social media to have a break or to have a mood break. And then because we generate so much data, one of the beauties of this tool as well is that it collects massive amounts of data points that can be converted into what we call these AI personas of our consumers. So in this particular instance, we just to give you an example of the three profiles and personas that we've uncovered, there's the modern nurturer, there's the conscious balancer, and then there's the solo navigator. So I don't know if any of these resonate with you, but again, this is the power of having all of those data points available for AI to analyze. And, I'm nearing the end of my presentation, and the clock is also ticking. But again, this is still fundamentally qualitative research. And one of the things we also love about it is that you still get these highly, poignant quotes that consumers can give. And I always say, wouldn't it be nice to open like work sessions with, having consumers in the room and talking about, some of their words, how they speak to us. So in this particular case, one respondent said, I didn't produce enough. I tried everything to increase my breast milk production, but it was difficult. And after a long time of trying everything, my mental health deteriorated, and I stopped trying. So imagine the power of that as you open, for instance, a meeting, a work session, an ideation sprint. So it's always good because you can always bring the consumer into the room. So without really going into the details, what this particular piece of research allowed us to do was to identify insight territories that we are now, actively looking into for our strategic and brand planning. But again, we're very much in the beginning of this journey, but I think in the 6 or so months that we've worked with Esther and team, we've talked to over 6,000 consumers. That translated to 185 minutes of conversation. So that's quite a lot. That's 128 days. And like I said, it's just, beginning. We're just scratching the surface. And when I talk about the power of breadth, actually here we've reached 5 regions already with this tool, 17 markets. And, if at all, I would say dairy is underutilizing this. And this is what I pointed out to them as well, because, we could do much more for that category. So with that, I hand over again to Esther.
Yeah, we're going to close. Just to finish, as Alex was saying, we're just scratching the surface. So, and I'm so excited because there is so much. We're just at the beginning of this journey. So just to give you a quick teaser of what's expecting for us, we are going to work a lot on co-creation agents. So we have heard about personas. What about active persona that are built into real consumer data but get updated every single project you run or every month? And they are updated with current events so that you can interrogate them anytime you need. What about a concept generator based on your insight gives you a first idea or concept that you could go and test with consumer? Or about transforming this into an intelligence platform so you can upload your segmentation or your social listening, as we were seeing in some of these talks, and then merge that conversation that is out there that is explicit with directly interrogating consumers. And then we'll see moderation agents that become more and more sophisticated, that talk in a different language depending on whether it's a Gen Z or a millennial or what's the topic of the research. They go into usability on their phone anytime, anywhere, and even like humanized moderator avatar, and at the end agents that talk to each other and help us brainstorming. So I just wanted to leave you with a bit of a flair for the future, and thank you so much, Alex, for your experience, and thank you all for your attention.
Thank you. Any question? Yeah, please.
Thank you. Yes, Katrin Scharschmidt from Scopus. I guess this is a question to Bold Insights. Do the respondents know that they are being moderated by an AI-generated moderator?
Yes,
are they aware?
know.
Okay.
They know. And actually, at first, we were testing when we launched whether we should tell them or not. And we know that now the regulation is pointing towards we need to be transparent, and I'm happy about that. Mm-hmm. It seems like people at the start didn't really mind. But now we're being explicit because there are studies that are starting to emerge showing that being interrogated by an AI actually helps consumers open up more, especially in sensitive topics, because they don't feel judged and they don't feel like somebody will interpret what they're saying in a way that is not what they meant. So, yeah, long story short, we do. Ed over there. Yeah, great.
Okay, thanks very much. In terms of, as a moderator, one thing that's really important to me if I do depths or groups, there's 2 things like the power of silence. So you ask a question, there's a pause, and also reading people's body language, which can be kind of like a forgotten skill. What's the trade-off through not being able to do those things by doing it on AI?
Yeah. Would you mind?
As a client, what you feel you're missing?
Yeah.
Again, for us, the way we approach these tools, and we've brought several of them in-house in the last year that I was there, it's really understanding, some of these may have limitations, but there are also advantages. So we're very big on use cases. So one of the things that I referenced here is this is a generation that's so familiar with online, the online environment. That's how they communicate basically nowadays, plus also the topic as well. So I think it's not to say that this is the only tool that exists, but indeed the benefits in this case, I believe, outweigh some of those things that, other tools perhaps may pick up more.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you so much. For your presentation. Andrew, you wanted to ask a question?
No question from Andrew.
One more question, or yeah, one more.
Okay, so it goes along to the same lines of the difference in outcomes versus quantitative research written in...
Quantitative, sorry.
Yeah, so I understand that this is a little bit more of an evolving questionnaire, and it understands a little bit more information, it dives deeper in certain points. But ultimately, this is a very good use case, and there's many exceptional use cases. Esther, you know how much I actually appreciate you and Hakan's work. So when it comes to this technology, besides the ability to evolve, and it's going to continuously do so, how is it superior than just a well-crafted quantitative survey which understands how deep it needs to go at certain points, whereas you can upload videos or voice recordings just like that in many different quantitative surveys?
It's a good question. So for us, we always saw all of our tool as well as the other tool as complementary tool into a researcher toolbox. So I never talk about this replaces this. But of course, I can see how it can disrupt also the quantitative industry, because when you can have an actual conversation, why would you go for a closed-end question? But for me, the magic really lies into having both at the same time. In the same way of the love question might be better through a conversation, but when you go to the doctor, maybe having a scale to 1 to 10 can help explain the level of pain you feel. So having those different questioning and also leveraging different technique and dialing up and down when you need them, depending on the research objective and the use cases Alex was saying, I think will be very fundamental. And that's why I don't think we're any close to be replaced by the AI, because you need that kind of interpretation, critical thinking to decide when do I use Bolt and when do I use Opinio and when do I use another tool. I hope I answer your question.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah. Great.
Great presentation.